welcome back to Inside the Musical Mind. I am very honored this week to have a very special guest, Carmine Appice. Carmine, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Uh,
I'm glad we just left the Midwest. You know,
yeah, the storm hitting there.
oh man, I played there with my rod show. It's a show that it's not a tribute. It's a real show. We tell stories. It's like Rod said he was honored that we're doing this, and I got the sax player was with him 14 years, and
Oh,
it's not like just a bunch of guys doing a tribute. My singer is great. It's not a wig. And so we were in the Midwest. I got back on Monday, and we were in Fargo, North Dakota. And then we drove down to a casino an hour and a half in Mahoman, Minnesota, or something like that.
okay, I don't know that. Yeah, I know Fargo in North Dakota.
Yeah, and when we walked outside, it's not like you walked into a refrigerator. You walked into your freezer. It was like 15 degrees. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I lived at 8,000 feet in the Rockies when I was in my 30s, and it was beautiful. But
Beautiful.
but there's a reason people don't retire to places that gets negative 20.
Yeah.
You do that when you're young.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, let's talk.
Even when you're young, you don't want to do that. There's nothing to do.
Yeah, it's still brutal cold, brutal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we got Temple of the Blues 2
Yes.
coming out from Cactus. Am I correct? April 3rd, Cleopatra Records?
April 3rd, Cleopatra Records. And, this is the second one. The first one did pretty well for us. It broke into the Billboard Blues charts at number 3
Yeah.
and then hung around on the charts for a while. And it was actually Brian Pereira, who owns the label. It was his idea to do it because we've done a lot of things with Cactus with him. And he said, you know what? Can you put a record together that get all the musicians that were influenced by Cactus and put them on one record and maybe redo all the Cactus songs? I said, yeah, I think I could do that. So we did that. And, we had Bonamassa on there. We had Warren Haynes and Ted Nugent and Steve Stevens. And I can't even remember everybody on there. There was so many people. And so it did well. So he said, let's do another one.
Yeah.
So this is part 2. And he said, don't do as many songs because we want to put it all on one vinyl. Last time we had to put it on 2 vinyls, which financially it's harder for them to make any money with it.
Sure.
So I said, okay. So we did 11 songs. 10 of them will be on the vinyl, and the 11th one will be on the CD.
Okay.
I think the 11th one will be Feel So Good. That's the one that I think would be cool for 11. The other ones are great. We had so many guys. I can't even think of it. Ted Nugent again.
You're right.
Ted Nugent and Bob Daisley doing Spoonful. And what we did 3 Cactus songs. And
Yeah.
Feel So Good's one of them. And we
Token
did,
Chokin.
yeah, and then we did the rest of the album. We did from the Howlin' Wolf Electric album, which I love. Years ago in the 70s, Jeff Beck gave me that album. It was given to him by Jimmy Page. And Jeff took some stuff off it and put it on his albums. And we took Evil and put it on our Cactus album, which is one of the biggest songs we have.
Right.
So we basically, I said, well, let me get that album out. So I had that album. So I looked at it. It's on YouTube, like everything now.
Right.
And I looked at 7 songs that I liked. With Evil would have made it 8. There was only 10 songs on the record. So, or maybe even less. But I said, okay, well, let's look at these 7. And I picked the 7 that I really liked. And we did over those, kind of like we did with Evil back in the day. We made it real heavier, and the drum parts are always so cool. So I kind of copied some of the drum parts and made them done in my own way.
Right.
And the way we started everything, I started in my studio here. I put a click on and I'd hum whatever riff I'm playing. And some of them I played bass on. I have a really old precision bass. And then I would send it to my guitar player, and then he would put the guitar on it, put a good bass on it. We send it to our singer, and he would put the vocal on it. Ed Terry was our singer, and Artie Dillon was our guitarist from Cactus. And then I had like a demo with everybody. So and I would say, "Hey Ted, how would you? Can you do this song? You know, and we'll get a cool bass player to play with you." So he said, "Yeah." So we played, you know, with our bass player, and then we overdubbed Bob Daisley on it, and a spoonful.
Right.
That's so different than the Cream's way.
Right.
This is the original way. This is probably where the Cream got the song.
Right.
So all those English guitar players, they all listen to this album.
What I love about you've got such a knowledge and you've worked with so many musicians, but Nugent's inspired choice because a lot of younger musicians today probably don't even know who Willie Dixon is. You know,
No,
when Willie
they
Dixon
don't.
wrote a lot of those Howlin' Wolf songs,
Yeah.
but Ted Nugent, of course, he's not younger, but he has a real knowledge of that history,
Yes.
and he can appreciate the roots of where that comes from.
And he loved Cactus.
Yeah.
He loved Cactus. Jim McCarty was from Detroit, and Rusty was from Detroit, played with Ted.
Hmm.
And that was the original band with Tim Bogert. And he loved his band. He loved it. And he loved me as a drummer. And we became really good friends over the years. My manager managed him for a few years.
Okay.
And we became really good friends. Anytime I called Ted, I say, "Hey, dude, I need you to play on a song. Can you do that?" He said, "Yeah, give me a minute." And they send me the song. I send him the song, and he'll do it. And he didn't even want to get paid,
Really.
So I would take the money and put it and put it Tunnel to Towers for
Okay.
charity. And that's where I got the idea of doing a gig April 3rd when the album comes out at the Arcada Theater in St. Charles, Illinois, just south of Chicago, where everybody plays. Ted Nugent plays there 2 or 3 nights. I played there with Cactus. I played there with my brother. I played there with Vanilla Fudge. I just played there with my Rod show on Valentine's Day. It's a tremendously great venue. And so we decided to do that, but do it for a charity.
Hmm.
And we're going to do one night. If it sells out, we'll add a second night. But so I have a donor, his name Tim Ryan, that gave us a good amount of money to put this all together with and pay everybody, and then give money to the charities. But
Awesome.
whatever money that we make on the ticket sales, it's all going to the charity. And the ticket sales is $25.
Oh, that's great.
We bought it really cheap, because we do stupidness. We got the money late, so we only had 3 weeks to advertise it. So our promoter said, let's do it for 3 weeks. We only got 3 weeks. Let's do it for $25.
Right.
And you get a free Cactus album. So
And the way ticket prices are nowadays, if I see
ridiculous.
guys of your caliber playing for $25, I'm there.
Well, you know what? Not just me. We got Billy Sheehan. We got
Right.
Eric Gales. We got Pat Travers. We got Tony Franklin. We got Doug Pinnick, Doug Aldridge. I don't know if I'm missing anybody, you know.
Yeah.
But that's a hell of a show.
That's a heck
We're
of a
going to
lineup.
do songs from the new album, songs from the last album, which is all the Cactus songs.
Right.
And then we're going to do some songs like people know, like Do You Think I'm Sexy, which I
Right.
co-wrote. Then
Right.
Heavy, like I did it with Pat Travers. We're going to do like Long Tall Sally, the way
Mhm.
Cactus did it.
Okay.
But those are familiar songs,
Sure.
And it's going to be a great show. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have everyone's flying in on April 1st. We're going to practice and rehearse it. I give everybody the songs pre-hand, before. And then if we don't do the second, if we don't sell out and do the second, then I think we're going to try and do like a free show for firemen, vets, policemen, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then do like 4 or 5 songs in the Q&A, maybe, and still give them the CDs as well,
That's cool.
So
Yeah,
we're trying to make a really great event out of the release of this album.
Totally. That's great. And the list on this album, the people you've gathered together is fantastic. I mean, and the charity aspect is great. Heck, my father-in-law just passed away. He was a 60-year firefighter. I'm an Army
Oh,
veteran myself, so yeah, I certainly appreciate that aspect of it.
there you go. So you got it. So Tunnels to Towers, they're charity that handles your kind of guys too, which is
Right.
great. Yeah, but I mean, it's a lot of fun. Once I got everybody commitment, then I had to figure out who's going to play what, who would play what good, you know. And like when I picked Ted, I knew that he would take the rhythm and change it and make it sound like him,
Right.
and he did. And it was sounding great, you know. The crazy one we got is, have you heard the record?
I've heard it. Yes.
Okay, the crazy one I think we have is Cactus and Melanie.
I was going to ask you about that because that's great. And I've got to admit, of course, I know her, brand new key and
Yeah,
Mama, look
I
what they did my
remember young
song.
and around the roller
Right.
skates. You did
That's
that.
I know that, but I'd not heard much of her past that one or two songs. So it was
Yeah,
really cool to hear her on that.
it's really cool because again, Brian, the owner of Cleopatra, said, "Look, I have the rights to her vocal after she passed away by her estate.
Right.
I found her doing like with an acoustic guitar singing like a folk singer, Purple Haze.
Right.
So he said, "Do you think if I send you the vocal, if you and Pat, my engineer, Pat Regan, who also my co-producer, do you think you guys can turn it into Melanie and Cactus?"
And it totally works.
I said, "Yeah, I can do that for sure." So he sent us the vocal, and we had to like stretch it out so we can put it to a click, you
Right.
know. And then once you get it to a click, and then I put the drums to it first, so I'm playing to her vocal,
Right.
and then we spread it around. I give Tony Franklin the track. He did bass. Our bass player was out on the road somewhere else, so Tony Franklin had played with Cactus before on the road. So I said, "Oh, let's get Tony on it." So Tony got on it, and Artie, our guitar player, is on. He does a tremendous job, and then we mixed it, and her voice sounds like Janis Joplin sometimes.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable when she does this screaming. I first heard it, I go, "Wow, that's Melanie. That sounds
Yeah.
like Janis." Because I was around when Janis was around. That's what it sounded like.
When I heard that, you tell me now that she originally just did it as a folk accompaniment, I would have never guessed that's the origins of the track because it
Yeah, I
totally
mean, if you
works.
listen at the end, it goes, "Ooh, ah." That was on her original accompaniment,
Okay.
and I liked it. So I did the oohs and the ahs myself,
Okay.
because I basically produced this stuff, and Pat mixed it and made it sound great. So he co-produced it, but I did all the arranging,
Okay.
from the drums. I started from the drums and arranged all the songs, which is a unique way of doing it. An interesting way we did the one with Eric Gales and Billy Sheehan.
Uh-huh.
It was ba 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 ba, a very easy blues song. So I
Mhm.
played it with the drums and sang it on my click. I sang da 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 like that,
Right.
and da da da, and then I would sing it. I sang it all the way through, and then I put some bass on it so you could hear the song. Then I gave it to my guitar player. He put a rhythm guitar and a good bass on it, and then we sent it to Eric.
Right.
Right? It's just unbelievable how you record today. It used to be all in one room,
Yeah.
but now it's so much easier to do it like this because if you don't like something you did, you redo it.
Right.
And the years ago, if I didn't like something I did, that's it. It's on the record.
Right. And you're not trying to splice 2-inch tape with a
Yeah, you
razor.
can't even do that. It was very difficult because if you
Right.
just wanted to fix the drums, you got to splice everything.
Right.
But now you just pick what you want. So once I got it together, I sent it to Eric, and he played and sang the hell out of it. Can I say shit?
You can say whatever you want.
Okay, he sang the shit out of it and played the hell out of it.
Right.
And then he sent it back to me. And it goes, if you heard it, it goes from 6/8, like a bluesy thing, to
Yeah.
like up tempo, fast Parchment Farm kind of thing.
Right.
So when I gave it to him, he sent it back, and he didn't put anything there. I said, "What happened to the fast part?" He said, "Oh, I thought that was for you to show off your drums." I said, "No, man, that's for you
Yeah.
to kick ass." He said, "Okay." And I sent it back to him, and he sent it back to me, and it was smoking.
Yeah.
I mean, it was smoking. But then, what's even cooler is I sent it to Billy Sheehan. So now he's got Eric on there already. So if you listen closely, you hear Billy's playing some of Eric's licks with
Oh
him.
yeah.
And I called up Billy. I said, "Man, that's freaking brilliant, dude."
Yeah.
Because you don't usually hear that, you know?
Well, I mean, can you think about Billy was copying Paul Gilbert in Mr. Big? They're great.
Yeah,
He's great at
yeah,
just copying his lines
yeah.
and
And
then
and
branching off.
Billy, when Tim Bogert died, Billy said, "Anything you need me to do with Cactus, I'm there."
That's awesome.
He loved Cactus. He loved
I'm glad to
Cactus.
see Eric Gales getting some spotlight again recently.
Eric, he just played on the Grammy on the Oscars last
Yeah,
night.
it's great to see him back in the spotlight again because he
Yeah, I mean,
deserves
I knew him before he was arrested.
it.
You know, I
Right,
knew him. Then he got arrested, and he spent some time in there, and
right.
came out. And then I saw he's gradually grown. So I called him. I said, "Dude, I would love for you to play on this Cactus record." You know, he said, "Yeah, let's do it." So we
Yeah.
did it, and everybody was great. I mean, the song with Bad Stuff.
Yes.
You want me to
That's
do
Steve
this?
Morse on that one, right?
Huh?
Is Bad Stuff the one with Steve Morse on it?
Yes.
Yeah,
What a solo on that. Oh my God.
right. And you've got
First,
one of my favorite keyboard players, Derek Sherinian, on that one.
Derek Sherinian, mother. He's a mother.
Yes.
And I got him in the business years ago.
Did you?
I started. We did a Vanilla Fudge live album, and Mark Stein didn't want to do it, so I showed Eric how to play "You Keep Me Hanging On" the B3. I showed.
Oh,
He never played a B3 before,
okay.
and slowly, so that album came out, and little by little, he got back. He got into the business, and then Dream Theater and all that. He
Yeah.
always says the same thing. You need me, I'm there.
You know, it's funny because Derek Sherinian's got such well, he's got great organic tones, but he's also got cool outside lines that I'd forgotten. I'd not heard Bad Stuff in so many years that when I first heard it, I heard that kind of like the descending
Yeah, yeah.
all thing, and I was like, oh,
Dan, 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 that
right. And
part.
I was
Yeah,
thinking, oh, that's Derek came up with that, but that was like, then I listened, like, no, that was on the original. That's just Derek's take on it
yeah.
because it's definitely not a Steve Morse type progression, but it made
No,
sense. It made sense for Derek to play. But then
yeah,
I went back and listened to the original. I was like, oh, that was on the original song.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then when Steve did his solo, I made the guitar solo a little longer,
Right.
you know, because I figured I knew it was going to be Steve. I said I'm going to let him build it, and his solo was just amazing,
Always
And
is.
Tony Franklin on bass, and what about Joel and Turner's vocal?
Yeah.
I mean, just came together like magic, that one.
Joe
And
Lynn's one of those guys who's able to hold his voice throughout the
yeah,
years. It hasn't fried out.
yeah. It's like Mark Stein from Vanilla Fudge. He's
Right.
79 years old,
That's
two
amazing.
days ago, and he still does everything in the original key.
That's what's impressive. Most guys drop down a key or two.
Yeah, I mean, Rod Stewart's like three keys down
Is he?
now. Yeah, because
And there's nothing wrong with that.
no,
Age
with
gets
my
called.
Rod show, Catcher is her name, Catcher Reichman, played with him 14 years, and she said some days it'll be three keys down, other days it'll be two keys down. Says you never knew what you're going to get, so you
Right.
had to know everything in the three keys.
Right.
Pretty wild.
You don't be
I mean,
trying to just transcribe it the
my
last
show
minute.
now has the original key. My singer has, and the original key is Rod. And he sounds like Rod. And I love doing that show because I never play that stuff anymore.
Right.
It's been years. So I've been doing this like a year and a half, and it's really great. It's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. And what
You
I've
know,
always liked about your career, Carmine, is you've always seemed to have a love of the action, just the music in general. Like it hasn't always been drum centric projects on your own. Like you've done the Guitar Zeus stuff,
yeah,
and you've very much been. It's been very obvious throughout your career that you've been willing and eager to showcase the other instruments.
yeah.
Like you could have easily just done like here's my Buddy Rich stuff or here's my Gene Krupa type stuff, but you put like
Those are
here's the
my
guitar
two
players.
idols. Those are my two idols right
Right.
there. But I always wanted to be the Gene Krupa of rock, and I think I kind of achieved that.
Mhm.
As a person and as a personality, I should say, because people know me for not just playing drums, for singing,
Yeah.
for doing guitar Zeus, for that kind of stuff. And yeah, but when I always loved Cactus.
Sure.
I always loved Cactus. I tried to get McCarty to come to the show, but he can't travel no more.
Okay.
He's a little older than me. He can't travel. That's why he just does gigs in Detroit. But all these guitar players, they love him. You know, and that's why they loved Cactus. The three of us were like, at the time they called us the American Led Zeppelin.
Right.
You know,
It's
but
fair.
we never had singles, kind of like Led Zeppelin. We
Yeah,
never had
exactly.
something. Yeah, but uh, but doing these records is great, because we're doing some of the Cactus songs,
Right.
and like the Feel So Good song is really one because that's the song that I always did my solo in,
Oh,
with
right.
Cactus. So I don't want to do a solo on the record now,
Right.
So I thought, what can I do that's cool? So I got like a little guitar battle going between Britt Lightning and Tommy Thayer,
Right.
right? And then it goes into the spacey thing, like kind of like Whole Lot of Love in that crazy section,
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I did
totally.
that.
Yeah. The
I did,
theremin and yeah.
yeah, I did the theremin, and I did even did the guy that sponsors this. We're working with me and Pat Regan are working with him on spoken word, but done with rock and funk things behind him with
Right.
some different names. Like we got Tommy Thayer's going to play on it. I got Eric Bloom playing on it. I got Tony Franklin on it. Fernando Perdomo, which played with me on my solo thing, a
Okay.
piece Perdomo stuff, you know, and it's cool. So I said, no, you got to sing. Of
Yeah.
course, his name is Feel So Good, and that all that stuff's going on at the end. I said, you just go feel so good with his voice.
Right.
He's got this really cool voice. So if you listen to it, you'll hear that feel so good with his voice floating around in that mess of
That sea of
crazy
mist,
stuff.
right? What's cool
That
about that
sea of,
also, but I'm a guitar player, and it's cool, like guys like Tommy Thayer.
yeah,
People who don't know, who don't remember Black and Blue, his band, like they probably only know him from basically copying Ace's parts in Kiss.
yes.
So it's cool to hear him play
Yeah, I
other
had him
stuff.
on the Guitar Zeus too. I put
Yeah.
him on Mystified. He did a great job.
Yeah. Well, he's a great player.
He's a great player. He
Yeah.
is a great player. But
Let me
him
ask
and
you.
Britt, so I had
Yeah.
Melanie, and now I got Britt. I said, well, he's like, now I got a couple of women on this thing,
Yeah. A little
which is
diversity.
pretty cool. So I just had a good time doing this thing, and
That's
my
what's
engineer, co-produced Pat. He's like a detail freak. Probably took him 3 months or more to mix this damn thing. Uh, every little thing, every little note, every little thing. If this is out of tune, if the vocal just a little out, he fixes it. You know, if the bass, a little guitar things out, he fixes it.
right.
But the
But you can
result
do
is
that now.
amazing record, amazing record.
It sounds great.
Yeah,
Let me ask you this, you personally, when you're re-recording an older song of yours, like Token Chokin' from
yeah.
Cactus, it sounds so much more modern than the original version, obviously.
Yeah.
Does that new version sort of surpass the original in your mind, or do you have a fondness for the original version?
Just the new version. But like on the original, we have my friend Ronnie Lejack, who passed away. He played slide.
Right,
The new version, we got Bumblefoot playing a fretless guitar.
right. Well, see, I know of Bumblefoot, and what threw me off was I first started listening to it, and I didn't read the liner notes to see there was Bumblefoot. And I heard the slide, and there's one part where he does a quick four-note ascension that's picked,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I play guitar.
Well, you being a guitar
And
player.
I was like, wait, how's he picking that while he's doing the slide? And then I looked at
Right.
Bumble, and I know Bumblefoot has the slide, the fretless guitar. I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
he's
it's
got the double
Bumblefoot.
neck. He's
Right,
got the double neck.
right. Then it made sense.
He's awesome, man. I love him. And he
Yeah,
sings his ass off.
yeah,
You know that? He was in Asia. He sang the lead in
yeah,
Asia.
yeah, exactly.
I didn't ask him to sing nothing, but maybe I should, you know?
You should. It could be
Yeah.
like, okay, I've talked to other guys that were around in the 80s for this. Before you got with Sykes for
Yeah.
Blue Murder, was it common knowledge that he could sing like that?
No,
I didn't think so.
no. What happened was I kind of went after Blue Murder because like Cozy Pal, Cozy Pal listened to me. Him and Bonzo listened to me. It's in the Thunder of Drums book. And so when I couldn't play with Jet Beck, he got Cozy. And I was asked to join Rainbow. And I
Hmm.
couldn't do it because I was signed to do an album record deal with Mike Bloomfield and Rick Gretsch, you know. So I could once you sign to a label, you can't just jump ship.
Right.
you know.
Now, was King
So
Cobra done by then?
no, no,
Okay.
this was before King Cobra, 10 years before King Cobra.
Okay. I'm
This
getting my
yeah,
timeline mixed up. Go
yeah.
ahead.
So this is 1975.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm thinking the Blue Murder timeline. Gotcha. Gotcha.
So 1975. So I'm talking about Cozy. So Cozy then joined Rainbow.
Right.
I used to say to Cozy, "What am I, professional replacement or what?" We used to goof, you know. So
Right.
then, so then Sykes was in Whitesnake,
Right.
right? And Tony was in the firm. So they got together with Cozy
Right.
and Ray Gillen.
Right.
And I said, man, that freaking Cozy gets all these good gigs. I love Sykes and I love Tony.
And Ray was a hell of a singer.
Yeah, and then they bowed out. Both of them bowed
Right.
out. So I heard it in the press. I said, how do you get a hold of Sykes? I want to play with Tony and Sykes. So I didn't know how to do it. So my brother Vinny was in Dio. They were playing in London 4 nights at the Hammersmith Odeon. I said, look, I'm gonna go too, because if anyone's gonna know how to get a hold of Sykes, somebody there will know.
Sure.
And it did. Now Chris Welch from Melody Maker turned me on to the numbers. I talked to Ron Sykes' father, was a stepdad who was acting manager at the time.
Okay.
And I went out there. I drove like 3 hours to where they were. I remember distinctly, I was listening to Permanent Vacation by Aerosmith the whole time, over and over and over, you know. And I got there 2 in the morning. I met Tony, he busted into the bar. We had a drink. The next day we played, we smoked some hash and we played. I played on Cozy's drums and it was like magic.
Right.
It was like magic. And Sykes said to me, man, Cozy's got maybe 4 drum fills. He goes, you got so many drum fills. He said, it's unbelievable. I said, well, yeah, because I studied. I know what I'm doing, kind of, you know. Cozy listened to me and listened to guys like me, and he gasped a few fills. You know, Cozy did great what he was doing. And I thought he was killer, you know, played
Yeah.
hard. He even had the big drums like I had, you know.
You have a more varied background than Cozy
Yeah,
did.
because I studied. I used to play jazz. You know, I played Latin, I played jazz, I played weddings. He never did wedding.
Right.
What he did was play rock, you know.
Right.
When
And
you
he was
play
great, but yeah.
rock, it's great, but you know, I like varying stuff, you know.
Sure.
And so then I found him, I went up and played, and that was it. So
Awesome.
then we went up to Little Mountain, and Tony Martin was going to be the singer.
Black Sabbath. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he bowed out the day we were flying. So Bob Rock said, look, come up anyway, and we'll do all the tracks, and then we'll take a break, and I'll do Motley Crue. That's why Motley Crue's drum sound was similar to mine,
Ah,
because Bob, you know, did
Bob
me
has a
and then
sound.
did
Yeah.
him. Yeah. So then while we're off, we did everybody. We tried Derek St. Holmes. We tried,
No.
you know, Mark Free. We tried this one. We tried that one. Couldn't find anyone that everybody liked. So finally, me and Tony said, "Look, John, you got the deal on your songs with your vocal.
Mm.
So why don't you sing, and we'll sing the background. We'll be like the Cream,
Yeah.
you know?" She said, "You think so?" I said, "Yeah." So we worked on it with him. We rehearsed a lot. We worked on it, and that's how we became the singer.
Yeah. His vocals were stellar. Yeah.
Yeah, really high. It was really strong. And you
Totally.
know, we played, we went to Japan. We had 12,000 people in Japan. They loved us over there. And we were toured here. We didn't have the right management, and you know, in those days you had to have all the right things. You had to have the manager, the record company, the PR company, everything right, or
Was
it
it a
ain't gonna happen.
mistake staying on Geffen, do you think?
It was us.
Okay.
Geffen released Valley of the Kings. They wanted to release that just to get it going, and we spent $150,000. I said, with that we had to pay. So we said, you know what? We want to see it on heavy duty rotation on, you know, on MTV and all these VH1s and all this stuff. And they said, no, we want to just get this out and then do hit with Jelly Roll,
Right.
put the big bucks behind Jelly Roll. But we didn't listen. We forced them to do that. We had no manager.
Okay.
The manager was Ron, his stepdad, some lawyer, and some radio guy. And I mean, like some radio guy, some lawyer. You know, it wasn't like known people. And by the time we got a manager, we got Brian Adams manager. It was too late.
Gotcha.
We
That
lost.
clears that up.
We had
Okay.
lost it. I would have bet you my house that it was going to be a platinum record.
Should have been.
That's how sure I was. It was so amazing, the record. We
That
toured with
album,
we
Blue
toured
Murder.
with we toured with Bon Jovi the first 4 or 5 gigs that we did, and all the young girls, we were jamming like the '70s,
Yeah.
like all my bands.
Should have been
And all the
multi-platinum.
little girls loved it because we were good-looking dudes,
Right.
you know. But and then we kind of broke up, and then John asked me and Tony to come back and play the second album as session guys, which we did, and
Right.
it was still great.
Oh, the second album was great too. Nothing but trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, but by then, all the grunge came out, and guys like us were dinosaurs. So forget about it. I spent the '90s in Japan.
Let me ask you, I'm gonna on the new album, the Temple of the Blues 2, as a non-drummer, I'm gonna give my initial impression of your drum sound, and hopefully this is comes across as a compliment. My initial reaction to your sound on this album is kind of the power of Bonham, but your snare has the snap of Bill Bruford. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And that's a
yeah,
non-drummer speaking, but
yeah. I mean, Led Zeppelin was take. We took Led Zeppelin on their first tour.
yeah, yeah.
I
I'm aware
got
I'm talking
John,
to
and I
guys that
got,
came
I'm
behind.
in the Led Zeppelin movie. You know.
Right, right.
Yeah, but so he had. So I had the power. I always had the power. But yeah,
Sure.
the snap of the snare drum is right because I'm using a really 2004 Slingerland snare drum with my Carmine Aquarian head on that has snap and crack.
Right.
And those bass drums are 1971 Ludwig 24 by 15 Cactus bass drums.
Speaking of Ludwig, have you ever asked? I know you've covered this a thousand times before. Have you ever asked Alex Van Halen directly if they just legitimately took that opening to "Let Me Swim" for the beginning of Eruption? Because it's exactly the
I
same.
no, I didn't know about it then, but I asked him about Hot for Teacher.
Okay.
He said that Parchment Farm was a template for that,
Right.
but I knew it is.
I've got
I didn't
ears.
really listen to Van Halen when it came out. So I was
Mhm.
playing with Rod, and we were playing arenas, 5, 6 nights at the
Yeah,
Garden.
you were busy with your own career.
I was busy. I didn't pay much attention to, you know,
Well, the
the
only part
radio.
of that, the "Let Me Swim," is just the low tom fill and then going to the A chord, and that's
Yeah.
basically all that's the same.
Well, on the other album, the first album, we did "Let Me Swim," and I extended that intro
Right.
with Doug Aldrich playing it. And, he's a monster.
Yeah.
And
He is
I
a
told him
monster.
I want just play like you play. I want this to be like an extended intro, but just like Eruption. So
Right.
he did, and some radio stations and all that. I'd say, okay, here's Eruption, and here's the intro with Slim off that album.
Right.
It sounds the same.
When you're picking guys for your album, do you ever have a toss up? Because you mentioned Doug Pinnick.
Yeah,
How do you decide if you want him to play bass or sing vocals? Because he's
he
so
does
damn
both. He does both.
right. Do you know eventually like, I'm gonna have him do
Well,
both or?
I just know that he'll play both. On the last album, he played Evil
Hmm.
bass, and he sang one way or another and played bass.
Right.
You know,
Because he's a master
so
of both.
he's a monster. And then Ty, you
Ty
know,
Tabor, yeah.
Ty is great. And the first one I used Ty before and Nugent and all, but I never used Steve Stevens. He was great,
Right.
and I never used Alex Sopnick.
Alex Skolnick, yeah, yeah.
And he
From
was
Testament.
awesome, man. He was awesome.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Haslip I played with before on a solo album that never came out.
Jimmy has from the Yellow Jackets, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And he
Yeah,
played with Gino Vanelli. He's a monster.
sure.
I helped him get in the business also, And just people that I love and help. I mean, on that album, I had Jimmy Haslip, I had Fernando Saunders, and I had Verdine White on that solo album. But it was like a blow by blow because I played on blow by blow, but
Right.
I never made it to the actual record. Even I worked 5 tracks with um, George Martin, and everything. But so I did my own version of that on CBS. They gave me an advance. We finished it, and then they said, well, "This is not you. It's not your kind of bag." I said, "Wait a minute. Jeff Beck just did it. Why can't I
Yeah.
do it?" So they never released it. They paid
Uh,
me. They never released it. So I released it on my own. I played a
right.
gig. Yeah, but it was tremendous playing with those 3 bass players.
Of course. Now, God, it's
I had a lot of fun.
it's cut me low on time. You've played with everybody in the world. If there's any musician alive or dead you've not played with but you really wish you had, anything come to mind? Anybody come to mind?
Mm. Not really. I I played with
Play with
Hendrix.
everybody.
I would say Hendrix, but I used to jam with Hendrix at the Steve Paul scene in New York.
Yeah.
Everybody used to jam there. I really can't think of anybody.
Well, for people watching this, April 3rd is Temple of the Blues 2. Of course, we hope it comes out in the charts again. Where's the best place for them, social media wise, or websites to follow up with,
Well,
basically to buy it?
it's CarmineAppice.net
Okay.
and Carmine Appice Instagram. I think it's Carmine Appice 2 is Instagram. And, uh, I'm on all those kind of things. I don't do much with them though, because I just
As
don't
long as
do
they can
much
get the
with them.
links to buy the stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I find that, with Facebook for me, I get more views and more people talking about it when I say, well, I'm going to dye my hair black and purple. Then I got a new album coming out.
Yeah, sad but
So
true.
I got a new album coming out. I get 6 views. I
Right.
dye my hair black and purple. I get 1,200 views.